It's a thin line that divides East from West Jerusalem, but viruses know no borders. East Jerusalem has a network of 6 hospitals that serve as a backbone for Palestinian healthcare there, where professionals are dealing with the spread of COVID-19.
In total, in East Jerusalem, we have about 70 cases, of which we know there are 3 cases that are being treated at Israeli hospitals.
And now, one person has been confirmed positive for the COVID-19 in the Shuafat refugee camp. From 2012, this healthcare system used to receive $75 million annually, but the payment stopped 3 years ago. These hospitals say lack of funding combined with lack of support from the Israeli government has led to gaps in the care they can provide.
We have 22 ventilators. According to the standard, this is serving 350,000 Palestinians in East Jerusalem. According to the standard, we calculated that we need about 200 ventilators.
Still, East Jerusalem medical teams are working desperately to combat the virus.
Immediately, in no time, we decided that Maqasid Islamic Charitable Hospital will open a wing to serve corona patients. The French hospital, St. Joseph, would open a wing for 28 patients, 28 beds. And we at Augusta Victoria, we decided to open 16 beds. This is something good that the Israeli Sick Funds have done over the last week or so. Initially, for the longest time, there was no testing in East Jerusalem. Now, at least there are 3 centers. So, to the best of my knowledge, they're receiving. So, tests are available. Very nice drive-in. So, this is something new.
Critically ill cancer patients from the Gaza Strip come to Augusta Victoria for treatment, but COVID-19 now adds an extra burden on the medical staff. But even as this city remains divided, it seems healthcare workers are coming together in the face of the crisis.
We all know now, and it's high time for the Israeli government to come into understanding that Gaza, the West Bank, Israel proper, they are all one epidemiological unit. It cannot be separated. We have to collaborate.
Which may be cause for optimism for an age-old conflict in the face of a new crisis. Emily Rose, I-24 News.
And that report from our Middle East correspondent, Emily Rose, and she joins us now. So, Emily, there was confusion a few weeks back when the Palestinian Authority in East Jerusalem gave different directives from those of the Israeli Health Ministry. So talk us through the position East Jerusalem residents sit in as they sit under multiple jurisdictions.
Yes, Benita, in many ways, the citizens, the residents of East Jerusalem are between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, the Palestinian Authority does have an office and a branch and a governorate in that sector in the city, and they are giving directives and putting out messages from the Palestinian Authority that do apply very often to or are listened to by those residents of East Jerusalem. On the other hand, they do fall under the jurisdiction of the Jerusalem municipality, and that municipality is the one providing them health services and tax services and all of the other services that they receive. So in many ways, there was a lot of confusion around the messages that they were receiving. And when I spoke to members of the municipality who were directly communicating with those East Jerusalem residents, they said they were really trying to curb the spread of rumors that were going through the Arab community in East Jerusalem about the coronavirus. And there was a lot of confusion in the beginning about which directives to follow, to whom they should be listening, and what they should be doing in order to prepare themselves and keep themselves safe.
So what is the Jerusalem municipality actually doing at the moment to help kind of quell this confusion, so to speak?
Well, a lot of what the municipality has been doing is been tapping into online influencers in East Jerusalem. They've been tapping into a lot of platforms that are already used by East Jerusalem residents, and they've been using it to channel messages from the municipality. But still, I have to say that when you speak to Arab leaders of the different communities in East Jerusalem, there still isn't an aligned sort of agreement on whether those residents are following directives, if they're following them enough. Some neighborhoods they say they are, some neighborhoods they say they aren't, and there's what to be desired. So mixed messages, even from that individual that I interviewed today that you saw from the Augusta Victoria Hospital. He was trying to still remind residents to stay home, to adhere to those directives, and to take the directives from the Israeli Ministry of Health seriously, something that they might even not be used to doing.
And in your report, Emily, we heard there Dr. Walid Namour mentioning treating patients from Gaza. What does that look like during COVID-19?
So traditionally, the Augusta Victoria, its highlight, what it's strong at is treating very critically ill cancer patients. And a lot of those patients actually come from the Gaza Strip. They're permitted to come into Israel proper and then into East Jerusalem as well. They receive treatment. And recently he told me, and this is also true, I've spoken to other doctors in the hospital, where they say that a lot of those Gazan residents are worried about going into Jerusalem to get that treatment, even though they severely need it, simply because they know that when they go back to the Gaza Strip, they'll have to sit in quarantine, and they're worried about that prospect. So he's really now also trying to have this battle of convincing those residents of Gaza to come to receive that treatment that they need at the Augusta Victoria, and then to go back, even trying to provide some kind of accommodations for them where they can stay in Jerusalem for a prolonged period of time, just so that they'll come and they'll receive that treatment that they so desperately need, because that's one of the main goals as well of that hospital, is to try to give those patients that desperate treatment.
Thank you so much, our Middle East correspondent Emily Rose, both for that report and your insight.